If your last haircut made you look more tired than rested, the issue isn't your face, it's the geometry of the cut. In the next minutes, I'll show you 3 shapes that quietly lift the eyes, soften the jaw, and open the mid-face, and 3 you should skip because they pull everything down. Welcome to Golden After 60, a smart, no-nonsense space for women who won't fade into the background. I'm your senior beauty editor and coach. If your hair feels finer, a little drier at the ends, or flatter at the crown, normal after 60, you're in the right place. I'll give you practical moves you can use at home and take straight to the chair. Our 70/30 value contrast for believable dimension, texture stacking for lift without stiffness, and the face-framing trifecta to lighten temples, cheekbones, and the jawline. Stay with me. If this kind of age-savvy beauty is useful, consider subscribing. And tell me in the comments which zone you want to lift first: crown, cheeks, or jaw, so I can tailor a one-sentence salon script for you. Secret number 1, the soft layered bob. The soft layered bob sits between the chin and collarbone with airy, invisible layers and a light side-swept fringe. The goal is movement, not a helmet. By carving micro-layers through the interior, you create lift at the cheekbone-mouth-jaw zone, the face-framing trifecta, so the eye travels diagonally upward instead of dropping to the jawline. Technically, sections elevated to about 90 degrees distribute weight evenly, preventing a heavy shelf at the perimeter and stopping the ends from flipping into a rigid C-curve. The result is a clean outline that swings, photographs beautifully, and grows out without collapsing by week 4. This shape suits most faces, round, oval, and heart especially. If your jaw is fuller, let the line fall 1-2 cm below the jaw to slim that area. Fine to medium hair gains the airy lift it often lacks. Thick hair benefits from internal debulking so the bob doesn't balloon. If you wear glasses, a wispy side sweep keeps brows visible and integrates with the frame rather than fighting it. Quick way to test your length at home: gather your hair into a loose, low pony, then slide the elastic up your neck until the line sits just beneath your jaw. If your cheeks look higher and your jaw softens, you've found your landing zone. When you book the appointment, be precise. I want a soft layered bob that sits just below my jaw with invisible internal layers and a wispy side-swept fringe, no hard undercurve. Keep maintenance simple: light root lift at the crown, a pea size of serum on the ends, and a round brush pass focused only at the roots. Think control at the base, freedom at the perimeter. What to avoid: the rigid, sprayed helmet bob. A hard undercurve magnifies jaw width, dates the silhouette, and makes every strand move as one piece. If your ends snap into the same curve every day, ask your stylist to open the interior and break the finish so the line breathes. From my own chair as a woman in her 60s, I wore a neat one-length bob for years. On video, my jaw looked heavy and the crown deflated by noon. We dropped the line 1 cm below the jaw and stitched 3 invisible layers at cheekbone level. Same length on paper, different face on camera. Micro changes, macro lift. Tell me in the comments, would you wear yours jaw skimming or collarbone kissing? Do you need a fringe map for your glasses style? If your hair is fine, are you willing to try a week of true 90-degree blow-dry elevation and compare before and after photos? Next up, if you want even more lift with less daily styling, the Pixie with Lift delivers instant cheekbones without losing softness. Secret number 2, the Pixie with Lift. A Pixie with Lift is short through the sides, softly tapered at the nape, and intentionally textured on top to create height at the crown and feathered, touchable edges. That little rise at the crown lengthens the profile, pulls the eye upward, and spotlights the cheekbones while softening the jaw, especially helpful as fiber diameter and density naturally decline with age. In fact, research shows hair shafts tend to become thinner with advancing age due to miniaturization and structural changes, which is why building volume into the cut is more effective than piling on products. It's also common. In one study of healthy postmenopausal women, 2% showed signs of female pattern hair loss, most of it mild to moderate, so designing lift is not vanity. It's smart engineering, and style matters beyond mechanics. Controlled changes in hairstyle measurably influence how others read vitality and attractiveness, which is why a pixie with movement often reads fresher than a severe crop. Who thrives with this shape? Ovals, hearts, and petite features love the vertical balance. Fine or thinning hair gets instant density from short to long texture stacking. Natural wave adds effortless buoyancy. And if you wear glasses, a soft, piecey fringe plays beautifully with frames without crowding the eyes. At home, test your face for it. Pin your hair roughly to pixie length, then lift the crown with your fingers. If your eyes and smile pop and your neck looks a touch longer, the silhouette is working. Bring a clear brief to the chair. Say, "I'd like a soft pixie with crown volume, feathered edges, and piecey texture. No skin-tight clipper sides, and nothing too severe on the hairline." Keep a mental checklist as your stylist works. A tapered, not shaved, nape that hugs the neck, layered crown for durable lift, and a soft fringe that can be swept or lifted for glasses days. Ask for graduated layers with controlled elevation so the shape won't collapse by week 3. Even classic 90-degree layering distributes weight evenly and preserves movement through the grow-out. Skip the ultra-short, severe crop. Removing too much perimeter erases the soft frame around the face, spotlights every line, and reads strict rather than lively. Precisely the opposite of what most of us want on camera or in daylight. From my own experience at 68, the day I traded my safety length for a crown lift pixie, my granddaughter's first comment was, "Your eyes look brighter." That was architecture, not heavier makeup. A client, Marina, 72, had shoulder-length hair she never wore down. We kept the edges feathered, added crown height, and finished with a nickel size of lightweight cream. She laughed. "I didn't know my cheekbones were still in there." Would you feel more confident with a little height at the crown, or do you prefer lateral fullness near the temples? If you wear glasses, what fringe length flatters your frames? If you're tempted but nervous, is it the grow out, the styling time, or simply going shorter? Think on that while we head into secret number 3, where we keep some length but swap heaviness for movement with a modern, shoulder-grazing shag. Secret number 3, the modern long shag. The modern long shag sits from shoulder length to just past the shoulders, with feathered layers that keep the ends airy and optional curtain bangs to soften the upper face. One-length hair often hangs and thins at the perimeter, which pulls the eye downward. Strategic layering through the mid-lengths and the face frame removes weight where it drags and adds lift where it matters. Eyes, cheekbones, jawline. Feathered layers create visible motion. Our eyes naturally track that movement, which reads as vitality. This is the effortless cousin of long hair. You keep the romance of length while gaining shape, bounce, and a lighter outline around the jaw. It suits most face shapes because the line is adjustable. On longer faces, curtain bangs shorten perceived length and disguise forehead texture. On round or square faces, face-framing layers carve gentle diagonals that slim. Straight hair looks sleek and intentional when the ends are debulked. Wavy and curly textures look especially modern because the layers give definition instead of a bell shape. If you wear glasses, ask your stylist to keep the shortest curtain pieces just above the frame line so fringe and frames don't fight. Try this at home in 30 seconds. Place 2 fingers at the outer corner of each eye and draw a diagonal line toward your collarbone. If that corridor looks flattering in the mirror, a shag that lands at the shoulder to about 1 inch below will echo that lift on your face. Salon Script. Please cut a shoulder-grazing shag with feathered face framing and light curtain bangs. Keep ends airy, not blunt. Remove bulk through the mid-length so it moves. Your mental checklist as you style: aim for shoulder-ish length, feathered layers plus soft curtain fringe, and ends that look airy, not wispy or frizzy. Avoid the related mistake: very long, one-length hair when the ends are already fine. That length concentrates weight at the bottom, pulls the features down, and makes the perimeter look stringy. Soft layering preserves length while removing the drag. A personal note from a woman who's been there. At 68, I clung to my mid-back hair because I thought long equals young. Photos told the truth: heavy front, flat crown, jawline lost inside a sheet of hair. I kept the length I loved, but switched to a shoulder-skimming shag with cheekbone-hugging curtain bangs. With a round brush and a puff of light mousse, my crown rises about 1/2 inch, my jaw looks clearer, and my features feel lifted rather than hidden. What would you want this cut to do for you? Lift the crown, soften the forehead, or slim the jawline? If you wear glasses, do you prefer curtain bangs that skim above the frame or blend into it? Hold those answers, because next we'll move into secret number 4, where the collarbone length lob builds on this same light but lifted idea while keeping ponytail versatility. Secret number 4, the lifted lob with curtain fringe. The lifted lob lands at the collarbone, adds a touch of height at the crown, and opens with a soft curtain fringe that splits naturally around a 60/40 or 70/30 ratio. That landing zone is ideal after 60, long enough to tie back, short enough to avoid the drag that makes the jaw look heavier. Crown lift creates a flattering triangle of light at the eyes and cheekbones, while the fringe diffuses forehead texture and directs attention to the center of the face. Inside the cut, controlled elevation and interior debulking release weight, so the shape keeps moving as it grows. Think soft layering around 45 degrees through the mid-lengths to prevent the bottom from forming a bulky triangle. Keep the perimeter softened, no hard, blunt shelf, and no ends flipped under into a helmet curve. This shape flatters square and round faces because the vertical fall elongates, while the fringe softens strong angles. Medium to thick hair benefits most from internal debulking. If your hair is fine, minimize layers and build lift at the roots instead. About a 1/2 inch to 1 inch of height is enough to lengthen the profile without looking styled. The cut plays well with glasses because the curtain pieces tuck behind frames rather than bouncing on them, so you keep an open brow line and clean lens. At home, place a comb at your collarbone and let your hair settle to that point. If your shoulders look longer and your jaw reads softer, you've found your lob length. If ends sit above the collarbone and flick outward, you're about 1/2 inch too short. Slide the target down. For daily styling, work a dime-size amount of light mousse into the crown, blow dry up and back over a small round brush, then cool shot to lock lift. Pinch twist the fringe while warm and let it split as it cools. Plan trims every 8 to 10 weeks to maintain movement. When you book, say, "I'd like a collarbone lob with internal debulking for movement, soft curtain bangs, and a touch of crown lift." Keep the perimeter soft, not blunt, not flipped under. Avoid the pin-straight, one-panel lob. With no internal movement and heavy ends, it photographs like a flat sheet and exaggerates a widening part. Speaking as a woman in her 60s, I held onto a one-length cut for the ponytail. Once I shifted to a collarbone lob with a light curtain fringe, my cheekbones lifted on camera and my routine dropped to 5 minutes. Quick crown set, cool shot, done. Would a curtain fringe help or fight your frames? Is your current length above, at, or just below the collarbone? And do you prefer a sleeker day or a more movable one? If you want the cut to look even fuller with less product, the next secret adds dimensional color placement to amplify this shape. Let's move to secret number 5. Secret number 5, the 70/30 dimension rule, color, and texture. Keep roughly 70% of your hair in its natural value, your inherent lightness or darkness, and devote the remaining 30% to accents that create depth and light play. Think sun-kissed through the face frame with a soft shadow at the roots. This balance restores visual contrast where we gradually lose it with age. Lighter pieces around the eyes bounce light back into the center of the face. A gently deeper root diffuses into the mids and adds the illusion of density at the crown. Paired with texture stacking, small, precise length differences that catch light, you get lift and polish without teasing or heavy product. Placement is universal but must be calibrated. On fair skin with silver hair, pearly lowlights tucked into the interior build dimension so the surface never reads chalky. On brunettes blending gray, fine. Cool highlights around the face soften demarcation while most of the canvas stays in its natural depth. If you wear glasses, place 2 or 3 brighter accents just above the top edge of the frame. It lifts the gaze to the eyes and keeps the overall read fresh. Test it at home before you book. Stand near a window, pull 2 tiny face-framing sections forward, and preview brightness with a temporary lightening spray or a virtual try-on. If your eyes look clearer and your skin tone less sallow, you're a 70/30 candidate. From behind the chair and from experience, I kept my silver at 63 and asked for 8 microfoils around the eyes plus a 1 to 1.5 inch shadow root. I didn't change my makeup routine, but the next morning my sister asked if I'd slept better. That is value contrast doing quiet work. When you sit down with your colorist, be direct. Keep most of my hair in my natural value. Add soft face-framing lights to brighten the eyes. Build a touch of depth under the crown for density. Blend everything so it looks natural, not stripy. The checklist you're aiming for is simple: 70% natural value and 30% accents, brightness near the eyes, shadow at the crown, micro highlights that melt without visible lines. Avoid one block, opaque color, and chunky streaks. Flat color makes hair look thinner on camera and in daylight. Thick, high-contrast streaks fight the movement you paid for in the cut. You want watercolor, not stripes. Quick pulse check for the comments. Are you team sun-kissed face frame or team root shadow for crown density? Tell me which balance you prefer and why. And as we move on, keep that 70/30 map in mind. The next section shows the day-to-day styling habits that keep this dimension vibrant between trims. The 3 haircuts to avoid and what to do instead. Ultra-short severe crop, what to avoid and what to ask for instead. Cropping hair very close to the head removes the soft frame that flatters the eyes, cheeks, and jawline. On mature textures, often a touch drier with slightly thinner fiber diameter, the razor-sharp outline can spotlight every crease and make the lower face appear heavier. Age biology is part of the story. Hair diameter and density rise into the 40s and then trend downward. Density is highest in the 20-30 range and declines with age, so ultra-tight shapes expose more scalp and make volume loss more obvious. A 2012 analysis reported that hair diameter increases until about 40-45 and then decreases, while density falls progressively after the 20s. Women who already perceive thinning lose density faster than those who don't. Add the hormonal shift. After menopause, sebum output falls. One recent review notes till to 40% lower levels by the 6th decade, with continued decline into the 7th, so hair feels drier and less light reflective. Another reason severe crops can read stark rather than soft. Instead of a skin-tight crop, ask for a soft pixie with crown lift and feathered edges. You want taper at the nape and sides, not a hard clipper line, and short, textured layers on top to create height at the crown so the eye travels up, not down. If you prefer stylist language, say, soft pixie, feathered perimeter, crown volume, avoid harsh clipper outlines. Elevation matters here. Layers cut at roughly 90 degrees to the head shape balance weight through the interior so the top doesn't collapse 2 weeks after the cut. Educators demonstrate that 90 degrees to head shape distributes weight evenly. Combining elevations fine-tunes softness and fullness. If you're on the fence, do a quick mirror test. Pin your hair up to pixie length, push a little height into the crown with your fingers, and check whether your eyes and cheekbones pop. In the comments, tell me whether you'd try a soft pixie if we keep the fringe light and off the brows. Very long. One-length hair, what to avoid and what to do instead. Keeping significant length in a single, solid panel makes gravity the stylist. Weight collects at the bottom, the perimeter thins, and the eye drops toward the jaw and collarbone. That downward pull is magnified when fiber diameter and density ease off with age. Postmenopausal women show lower fiber diameters, lower frontal scalp density, and slower growth rates than premenopausal women. Prevalence of female pattern hair loss rises with age. Several reviews put it around the low 40s to mid-50% in women over 70. The modern fix keeps the romance of length but removes drag, long layers, or a modern shag. You're asking your stylist to unload, wait through the mid-lengths, and build light. Feathery movement that lifts features instead of anchoring them. Elevation is the tool. Lower elevations remove bulk where hair looks heavy and preserve a fuller perimeter, while higher elevations add interior softness. In practice, that looks like face-framing layers that sit at or just below the cheekbone to brighten the mid-face, with airy ends instead of a blunt hem. If you want a simple salon line, try: keep shoulder to just past shoulder length, remove weight through the middle. Feather the face frame, airy, not blunt ends. At home, part your hair, twist 2 slim face-framing pieces to simulate feathery layers, and notice whether your jaw softens and your eyes read brighter. Tell me below if your keep my length fix the drag, and I'll help you script your exact face frame. Helmet bob, what to avoid and what to replace it with. The hallmark of a helmet bob is a rigid, sprayed-under curve that sits like a dome. It doesn't move. It widens the jaw, and it timestamps the look. The antidote is a soft layered bob with internal lightness and a gently offset fringe. Instead of blowing the ends into a perfect C every day, you want invisible internal layers so the bob floats. Ask for a line that lands 1 to 2 centimeters below the jaw. That drop alone slims a heavy jawline, unseen interior debulking for movement, and a light side-swept fringe to keep brows visible and eyes open. From a technical perspective, layer sections elevated to about 90 degrees relative to the head shape distribute weight evenly and prevent the shelf effect at the hem. Pros also mix vertical and horizontal layering to fine-tune softness versus width. Do the kitchen mirror check. Tuck the ends so your bob line falls just under the jaw and look at your 3 key landmarks: temple, cheekbone, and jaw tip. If all 3 look lighter, you're in the right zone. If you've been setting your bob into a perfect curve for years, go 2 days without forcing the undercurve, and tell me if your face suddenly looks less boxed in. Styling and maintenance that keep the cut working for you. For crown lift that doesn't feel crispy, use a light volumizing mousse and set the direction at the root with your dryer, then cool the root area to lock the height. You're using airflow and temperature, not lacquer, to create structure. For shine without weight, put a pea-sized drop of serum through the ends and avoid the root. postmenopausal sebum is lower on average, so overoiling the scalp to compensate can backfire and look flat, while ends actually need the help. If you like to air dry, comb a leave-in through mid-lengths to ends, twist 2 or 3 loose ropes around the face, let them set until about 90% dry, then shake them out for movement. Keep trims on a predictable rhythm so geometry stays flattering. Pixies every 4-6 weeks, bobs and lobs every 8-10, and shags every 10-12. Shags look great with a little lived-in grow out. If you wear glasses, ask your stylist to notch tiny windows above the hinge area so a light fringe clears your frames and sits naturally. Quick science you can use in the chair. Elevation is simply how high the hair is lifted from the head when it's cut. It determines where weight lies as the hair falls. Educators demonstrate 3 patterns. Vertical elevation tends to remove weight from the top quickly. Elevating at roughly 90 degrees to the head shape balances weight throughout the interior and mimics head roundness. And 90 degrees horizontal elevation can add weight toward the top and collapse width for thick or expanding hair types. The practical translation for you. Ask for balanced layering so the silhouette doesn't collapse at the crown or stack into a shelf at the perimeter. If your aim is more movement without losing length, long, feathered, or cascade, style layers are favored because they create motion and volume with soft transitions rather than hard lines, an approach that plays nicely with finer fiber diameter and lower sebum levels common after menopause. Aging and hair. A few numbers that explain why the softer approach wins. Across populations, female pattern hair loss becomes more common with age. Reports range from about 42% of women over 70 in a UK cohort to roughly 55% showing significant pattern loss in more recent summaries. Directionally aligned even if methodologies differ. Hair density and fiber diameter trend downward after midlife, which magnifies the visual effects of severe crops, one-length length, and rigid bobs unless you reintroduce softness, movement, and lift. Sebum output declines around menopause, on the order of 40% by the 6th decade, so rigid, highly sprayed finishes tend to look dull and dated faster than airier, lightly conditioned finishes. Keep the conversation going. Tell me in the comments which problem shape you're dealing with most, ultra-tight crop, one-length, or helmet bob, and what you want the fix to do first. Lift the crown, soften the jaw, or lighten the mid-face. If you add your face shape and whether you wear glasses, I'll write a 1-sentence salon script you can take straight to your next appointment. Choose lift over length. Soft layered bobs, pixies with crown height, modern shags, and collarbone lobs send the eye upward and soften the jawline. Keep the face-framing trifecta in play, movement at the temples, across the cheekbones, and just at the jaw tips, so your expression reads bright instead of heavy. Stack texture, not product. Micro layers and controlled elevation build volume that lasts all week without stiffness. Use the 70/30 value rule to your advantage. Keep most of your natural depth and add about 30% highlights or lowlights to brighten the eyes and fake density. Retire the drag trio. Severe crops, one-length long hair, and helmet bobs. Update them with softness, internal lightness, and real movement. If this was useful, subscribe for more smart, age-savvy beauty. In the comments, tell me your team, pixie, bob, or shag, and the one hair challenge you want solved next. I'll craft a 1-sentence salon script you can bring straight to your stylist. Save this video for your next appointment and share it with a friend who's ready for a confidence cut. You're not chasing 25, you're refining your 60, 70, and beyond. Your hair is the frame, you are the art. Thank you for spending your time with me on Golden After 60. I'll see you in the next video.